Hey friends, it's me, Christiana Gaudet. I am your Tarot Fairy Godmother, and I just have to share something with you. This is something that happened in a reading I was doing today, and it was a question not specific to the person I was reading for, but the kind of thing that every single one of us has to deal with. And the answer that came up, which is these cards, which we'll talk about in just one moment, so poignant, so on point, so amazing. I just had to share it with everybody. So the question, and I suppose this is more pertinent and will ring more poignantly for people age 40 and older, but it's a truth for all of us that if you happen to be in good health, that if you happen to live for a few decades and a few decades more, you will have friends who occasionally will have some health issue crop up, and they'll go to the doctor and they'll get some tests, and suddenly their life will change. Either it begins the journey of losing their life, or they die very quickly, or they are altered in some way, life-altering stuff that happens medically. And yes, it can happen at any age, right? But as we get older, we know more people it has happened to. And as we get older, we recognize that we are more at risk for these things. And as we get older, we are more likely to have that thing that crops up where they say, oh yeah, let's do a test on this. Let's run a scan on that. And so you encounter those moments where you're like, is this that time? Is what has happened to these people I know now about to happen to me or not? And the question I asked was not about, a specific situation such as that. It was the reality that this is our reality. How do you live with that? No matter how well you take care of yourself, no matter how good people tell you look at a certain age, there is the reality that at any minute, some messed up stuff could happen and change your life completely or even take your life. So really, it is, how do we process our mortality? And, I remember starting to process mortality when I was like 13. So on one level, this is an issue for older people, but on another level, since we are all indeed mortal, it's an issue for all of us. So in this reading, we're talking about these kinds of things. And I ask that question, how do we process, this fact of our mortality? And I pulled 3 cards, no position, just 3 cards at random. And these were the 3 cards I pulled. Have you ever in your tarot life seen something more perfect? It was from the full deck, well shuffled, and yet, first of all, 3 major arcana cards. So what do we say? Yeah, this is a spiritual thing. We must process it spiritually. Now, I thought it was really interesting. We have the Temperance, which can talk about like pharmacology, finding the right medication, the right thing. But the Hierophant, which can talk about medicine, is reversed. So it's this knowledge, right, that medicine, however you deal with medicine and doctors, can fix some things and help some things and not others. There's that. There's, with Temperance, this idea that we just have to be in balance with all the different realities of our life and create and be patient and do what we have to do to keep our balance, and that we must always, no matter how old or young we might be, we must be fearless in the journey. We must take steps forward into the unknown, even though, none of us knows what moment will be our last. None of us knows what might happen that would change our lives. And I'm saying this as a psychic, psychics can still be surprised, right? But we just have to step forward with faith, not fear, and we have to do it in a joyful way. We just have to go forward. And with the Hierophant reversed, we have to process this as our own truth. We have to, there may be religious doctrine that is helpful to us, but at the end of the day, this is between us and how we process things and how we see higher power. It is not really about doctrine and dogma. It's about how we live our lives. So put these 3 cards together, and it can also say, you just got to live your life the best way you can every single day. And that's the best you can do, which is the right answer to that question, right? And we know that the cards are always exactly right. But I just thought this was so powerful. I wanted to share it with you. And if you have other insights about how these 3 cards might address the question of mortality and how we process our mortality, please leave it in the comments, because I think, we could spend all day unpacking the power of these cards. I just thought of something else, the idea of temperance being how we mix the spiritual aspect of our lives with the mundane aspect of our lives. And the Hierophant reversed, and the Fool together, how we each must live our own way. That the regrets that we're going to have at the end are going to be the times that we were too afraid to step out of line, that we were too afraid to do what felt right for us, that we were trying too hard to fit in with other people or the expectations of other people. So I think this is a conversation that could go on for a long time. Love to hear what you think. And thank you for sharing this moment of tarot delight with me. Take care.